Have you ever noticed a hug that felt different? Not just a normal friendly hug, but one that stays a little longer, feels a little tighter, or carries a strange emotional energy you can't quite explain? Here's the truth most men miss. A hug is never just a hug. In female psychology, physical closeness is often a silent language. It reveals what words are too risky to say out loud. And when a woman is attracted to you, even slightly, her body often speaks before her mind admits it. But here's where it gets interesting. Most men completely misread the signs. They think friendliness means attraction, or they ignore real attraction because they don't understand the subtle physical cues hidden inside a simple hug. So, in this video, you're going to learn something powerful: the exact types of hugs that reveal attraction, the hidden body language signals inside them, and how women unconsciously behave when they feel emotional or romantic pull toward a man. Because once you understand this, you will never see hugs the same way again. Now listen carefully. A woman doesn't just hug everyone the same way. She adjusts distance, pressure, duration, and body alignment based on how she feels about you. These changes are subtle, but extremely telling. For example, a quick, loose hug often means politeness. A sideways hug usually means emotional distance. But a full body, close, and slightly longer hug, that's where psychology gets interesting, because attraction is rarely loud. It is felt, not announced. And in many cases, a woman will test emotional safety through physical closeness before she ever expresses romantic interest verbally. So if you've ever walked away from a hug and thought, why did that feel different? You were probably sensing real psychological signals, but didn't know how to decode them. We're going to break down the first major type of hug that reveals genuine attraction and what it actually means in female psychology. Let's start with one of the strongest signals: the full body close hug. This is the type of hug where she doesn't just touch you briefly. She fully leans in. Her chest comes closer to yours. Her arms wrap around you tightly, and there's little to no space left between both bodies. Now, here's the psychological meaning. When a woman is emotionally neutral, she keeps space, even in hugs. But when attraction is present, her body unconsciously seeks closeness and warmth. This is not calculated, it's instinctive. In female psychology, physical proximity is directly linked to emotional comfort. So when she reduces distance during a hug, it often signals one of three things. She feels safe with you. She enjoys your presence more than she admits. Or there is hidden emotional attraction building inside her, but there's a deeper layer most people miss. Pay attention to duration. If she holds the hug for a second longer than normal, that extra moment is important. The mind doesn't always control release timing when emotions are involved. That extra second often reflects hesitation, like she doesn't fully want the moment to end. Another key detail is pressure. A light, polite hug, social behavior. A firm, close hug, emotional engagement. And when you combine firmness plus closeness plus slightly longer duration, you're often looking at subconscious attraction signals. But here's the reality check. Not every full body hug means romantic interest. Context matters, relationship history matters, emotional state matters. However, if she only hugs you this way compared to others, that's where psychology becomes very revealing, because women rarely give everyone the same emotional energy through touch. We'll look at another powerful signal that is even more subtle, but sometimes even more accurate than a full body hug. Now let's talk about something extremely subtle, but very powerful: where she places her head during the hug. Most people ignore this completely, but in body language psychology, the head position reveals emotional vulnerability. Here's what different positions often mean. If she keeps her head away from you during a hug, it usually signals formality or emotional distance. But when a woman places her head on your shoulder or chest, something changes psychologically. This behavior often indicates trust. In female psychology, resting the head is a sign of letting the guard down. The head represents awareness, control, and mental alertness. So when she relaxes it against you, she is subconsciously entering a calmer emotional state. But here's where attraction can be involved. If she consistently chooses your shoulder or chest as a resting place during hugs, it may indicate emotional attachment forming, especially if this happens in private moments without urgency and with relaxed body language. Now pay attention to another detail: head tilt, plus slow movement. If she slowly leans her head into you instead of quickly placing it, that suggests emotional comfort building in real time. But be careful not to overinterpret. Sometimes women rest their heads simply because they are tired or feel safe, not necessarily because they are romantically interested. That's why you always combine signals: full body contact, duration of hug, head placement, and frequency. When all of these align, the psychological picture becomes clearer. In many cases, head placement during a hug is less about romance and more about emotional dependency forming over time. Attraction often grows from repeated comfort, not just one moment. We'll explore a signal that is often misunderstood, but extremely important: the lingering hand behavior during hugs. Now let's talk about something many men overlook. What her hands do during the hug. Hands are one of the most honest parts of body language because they are harder to consciously control during emotional moments. So pay close attention here. If a woman hugs you and immediately releases her grip, that's usually neutral. But if she keeps her hands on your back, shoulders, or arms, even after the hug is supposed to end, that's a strong psychological signal. This behavior is called lingering touch retention. In female psychology, lingering touch often indicates one of the following: she doesn't want the moment to end quickly, she is emotionally processing closeness, or she is subtly testing emotional connection. Now, here's the important part: the location of the hands matters. Light pat on the back, casual friendliness, firm grip on shoulders, emotional grounding, hands staying on your back for longer, attachment signal. Another subtle sign is gentle rubbing or slight movement during the hug. This often happens unconsciously when someone feels emotionally engaged or comfortable. But here's where you must stay realistic. Not every lingering touch equals attraction. Some people are just naturally affectionate. That's why context is everything. Ask yourself, does she hug others the same way? Does she only do this with you? Is there emotional tension or curiosity between you two? When lingering touch combines with closeness, head placement, and longer duration, the probability of attraction increases significantly. But alone, it is not proof. We'll connect all these signals together so you can clearly understand what her hug is really telling you. Now let's bring everything together. You've learned that a hug is not just physical contact. It is a psychological expression of emotional state. We looked at full body closeness, head placement, lingering hand contact, duration, and pressure. But here is the most important truth: no single hug tells the full story. Female psychology is layered, emotions are complex, and behavior is influenced by mood, personality, and context. So instead of looking for one magical sign, you should look for patterns. For example, if a woman consistently hugs you longer than others, chooses close body contact, rests her head on you, and delays letting go, then you are likely seeing emotional closeness or possible attraction developing. But if these signs only happen once or randomly, it may simply be comfort or friendliness. The biggest mistake men make is overinterpreting isolated moments. Attraction is not proven in one hug. It is revealed over time through repeated behavior. Also remember, some women are naturally affectionate, others are reserved even when they like someone. So personality always plays a role. That's why emotional intelligence matters more than guessing signals. Instead of asking, "Does she like me?" a better question is her behavior consistently different with me compared to others? Because comparison reveals truth. At the end of the day, hugs are just one piece of a much larger psychological puzzle. But when you learn how to read them correctly, you gain insight into emotional dynamics most people completely miss. And that awareness changes everything about how you understand attraction, connection, and human behavior.